So you can feel it, right? The anxiety that's going across the internet because of a show called Percy Jackson and the Olympians, created by Disney Plus and authored by Riordan. The closer we get to Season 2, the louder the whispers actually get that there's not just small changes that are coming, but there's some big seismic shifts that are going to change the story that we all know and love. With those whispers comes that old familiar fear, the one that's been haunting this fandom for more than a decade. The fear that the show is going to mess it all up. It's a fear born out of love. A fierce protectiveness over a story that wasn't just a book for many people. It was their entire childhood. But what if that fear is totally wrong? What if these changes aren't just signs of the ship going off course, but of our captain Rick Riordan himself steering us towards something even better? What if these very changes making us nervous are exactly what will make Season 2 legendary? Honestly, we already have a mountain of proof from Season 1. The first season was the test run, and it's proved, without a shadow of a doubt, that when Rick is in charge, every single change has a purpose. And that right there is why we need to put our full, unshakable trust in the guy who built this world from scratch for us. This isn't just blind faith. It's faith in what he's already earned. So that gets us to section 1 of this video. Now, before we go on, let's actually diagnose the anxiety, because it doesn't come from a bad place. It comes from love. Fandoms are basically memory keepers. We treasure the story the way we first got it, and any attempt to change it feels like someone is scribbling all over our favorite page. When you've spent years imagining a scene, any deviation can feel, well, wrong. And for the Percy Jackson fandom, that feeling is dialed up to 1,000,000, because we have the scars to prove it. Everybody knows the stories of the movies, the 2010 film and its sequel, and they're textbook examples of what happens when the studio gets its hands on something special and just doesn't get it, like at all. They aged up the characters, completely missing the whole point of the kids being used as pawns by the gods. They flattered personalities and just fundamentally misunderstood the tone that made the books a work of art. And who was the first person to stand up and say, yeah, this is terrible? Who validated all of our disappointments and publicly confirmed that the movies were a betrayal of his work? Rick Riordan. He became more than just the author. He became the chief defender of the story. He was our guy on the inside. He got it. So when Disney Plus's series was announced, with Rick Riordan as the co-creator, the writer, and the executive producer, it felt like a promise was finally kept to us. The Guardian was in charge, and Season 1 absolutely delivered on a show that was incredibly faithful to the Lightning Thief. When it comes right down to it, Walker Scobell had Percy's sass, and Leah Savage Jeffries had Annabeth's brilliant guarded mind, and Arian Simhadri, I believe his name is, had Grover's pure, anxious heart that we have all fallen in love with. But it wasn't a word-for-word copy by any means. It couldn't be, and it shouldn't have been. The show made changes. Now, as we look towards Season 2, the rumor mill suggests that even bigger changes are coming. We're hearing about expanding the world beyond Percy's point of view, giving more screen time to other characters, and maybe even restructuring parts of the Sea of Monsters for TV. And that's where the anxiety for everyone actually kicks in. And the thinking goes, if they change things in Season 1, and they're openly talking about changing more in Season 2, are we on a slippery slope to another disaster? Is this the beginning of the end? It's the fear that the Guardian is changing the very thing he meant to protect. But the whole line of thinking is based on one flawed idea, that all changes are bad. And Season 1 proves that some changes can be very good. To finally get to why we should be excited for the future, we have to look at Season 1 changes for what they were. Deliberate, surgical, and almost always for the better. These weren't mistakes by any means. They were decisions made by the author to upgrade his own story for the new medium. So let's take a look at the evidence, because the case for Season 2 is built on the wins of Season 1. Georgia, come here. Now, if you guys can hear anybody in the background singing the Demon Hunter songs, it's this girl right here. This little cute.
What? I'm in the camera too.
Yeah, you're in the camera. Can you say hi to everybody?
Hi.
This is the loud little girl that you're hearing in the background. But
So Anna's her sister. I got dressed.
there we go. I fixed her cape. Love you.
To talk to me.
Honey,
To play the music.
it's recording. I'm doing a video. See that red thing right there with the square? Yeah, we're doing a video. It's recording. People are going to see you. Huh?
What?
What?
I didn't know.
So, first up is Sally Jackson. We're giving her a bigger role, and that was, and I'll fight anyone on this, come at me in the comment section, that was the single best change in the entire season. In the Lightning Thief book, we love Sally because Percy loves her. No other reason at all. But we only see her through a 12-year-old's eyes, so she's mostly a sweet memory and a goal for his quest. A damsel in distress, if you were. The show took that and gave us the real Sally. From the very first episode, we see her strength and her sacrifice. We get flashbacks that show us why their bond is so strong. We see her teaching Percy the myths, not just the stories, but as an actual survival guide. We see the agony in her decision to send him away, and showing her as a strategist making a painful move to protect her one and only son.
Can you play with me?
How about after I'm done here, I will play with you.
Play.
Honey, you're very cute.
Hannah.
Hello, Elsa. Daddy's making a video. This is what it's like to be a dad. When she tells Percy Jackson the truth, we see that it's not just a frantic reveal. It's a heartbreaking moment that a mother has to admit that the war has finally come to her doorstep. This change massively raises the emotional stakes, and Percy isn't just trying to get his mom back. He's trying to honor the sacrifice of a woman we now know is a total hero. It's Rick Riordan using TV to give a character the depth that she always had, and it makes Percy's journey seem so much more powerful. Next, let's talk about the betrayal of Luke Castellan. In the book, Luke's betrayal is just a massive gut punch because he's the cool older counselor, and then BAM! He's a villain. It's an incredible twist that sets up the rest of the series. A book purist might argue that anything that spoils that shock was a mistake. But the show took on a much more different and honestly more mature approach to the scene. It traded the shock of the twist for the weight of the tragedy. From his first scene, the show's Luke is simmering with bitterness. The writers didn't just make him cool, they made him hurt. You can see it in his eyes, hear it in his warnings to Percy about the gods, so when the final betrayal happens, it doesn't feel like random heel turn. It feels like the tragic end of the arc that we've been watching all along. Instead of just being shocked that he did it, we're heartbroken because the show made us understand why he did it. This makes him a much more scarier and more compelling villain for the future. It's a choice that plays the long game, building a saga, not just a single story. And this idea of building a stronger foundation is a theme in every single change that Rick signed off on. Now, before we get to the next point, one of the biggest plot changes of the season, I want to hear from you. What was a Season 1 change that made you worried but you ended up loving? Let me know in the comments below. It's always cool to see that what made it click for different people. Okay, so let's talk about something much more large, the summer solstice event in the book. In the book, our heroes make it and they return the Master Bolt on time, just in the nick of time actually, and it's a classic hero move, and they end up winning against all odds. Now, the show does something much more wild on this. They fail. After their first little detour at the Lotus Hotel and Casino, they realize they've missed the deadline. The war they were sent to stop has basically already begun, and on paper this seems weird. Doesn't it make it seem like Percy has failed? Absolutely not, actually. It actually makes him way more heroic, in my opinion. In the book, Percy shows up to Olympus as the hero, and he's completed his mission. In the show, he shows up as an act of pure defiance. He's not just returning the bolt on time, he's marching in late to face a furious Zeus who has every right to blast him into dust. This failure makes his confrontation with Zeus much more intense. He's not just returning stolen property, he's trying to talk down a god in the middle of a war that he's basically failed to present. The reason why all this works is that it's harder to be brave when you know you've messed up. It's a brilliant choice that flavors character over plot. Now let's finally talk about what the show actually left out. One of the smartest moves of the season was leaving out the Great Prophecy. In the books, that prophecy is the backbone of the entire saga. It hangs over Percy's head from the beginning, and leaving it out from Season 1, it seems like a huge miss, right? Well, no, that's wrong. It was an act of incredible self-control. The goal of Season 1 was to make us fall in love with Percy, Annabeth, and Grover on their first adventure. The mission was simple and personal. Find the bolt, clear your name, and save your mom. Throwing in a giant, world-ending prophecy that won't pay off for 4 more seasons would have just confused things. By holding it back, the showrunners let the story breathe and let us invest in the characters. They know they have time to unpack the bigger mythology later. This isn't just a show throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. It patiently and confidently laying its foundation. Okay, so looking back at Season 1, there's definitely a clear pattern. The changes were strategic upgrades from Rick Riordan himself, all designed to make the story hit harder on screen. These weren't signs of a show losing its way. They were signs of the original architect coming back to his blueprints and making them even better. So if we apply that logic to Season 2, why should we be scared? The same guy's in charge. One of the biggest rumored changes is showing us more than just Percy's point of view. Based on how amazing it was to see more of Sally, think of the possibilities. Imagine we get to see Annabeth dealing with the poisoning of Talia's tree, her childhood home. Imagine seeing Grover's capture from his perspective, or seeing the chaos at Camp Half-Blood through Clarissa's eyes as she goes on her own quest. This isn't about stealing Percy's spotlight. It's about making the world around him feel richer and more alive. When Rick Riordan says he's seen new character scenes for Season 2 and calls them hilarious and so good, that's our proof. He's not just allowing these changes, he's excited about them, and he sees this as a chance to add new layers to the world that he's built. And remember, he did build it. Plus, let's be real, The Sea of Monsters is a fantastic book, but it's pretty episodic. It's a journey from one island to the next, and for a TV season that needs to keep the momentum going, a little restructuring is probably a good thing. The goal is the same, tell the best version of the story, just the tools are different. In the end, it's pretty simple. In Rick Riordan, we trust, and the anxiety, it's pretty real, and it comes from a place of love, but it's also rooted in a trauma that just isn't our reality anymore. The author is in the driver's seat, and what we saw in Season 1 was Rick showing us that he knows how to protect the spirit of his story, even if it means changing the letter of it. The changes made Sally a more developed hero, Luke a more tragic villain, and Percy an even braver kid. These aren't mistakes, they're upgrades. So as we look towards Season 2, we shouldn't be afraid of change. We should be thrilled. We're not getting a boring page-for-page copy of a book that we already love. We're getting a chance to see this world again through the eyes of its creator, who's had a chance to sit back and think about the mistakes that he might have made and how he could have made it better. The architect is back, and he's drawing up new plans. It's time to let go of the old fears and get excited about what he has in store for us. So, what are you most hyped about to see in Season 2? Are you dying to see Tyson, the party ponies? Let's fill the comments in the excitement for what's coming. And if you enjoyed this little pep talk, be sure to subscribe for more deep dives on all things that are Camp Half-Blood, and thanks for watching.